Well, right now there are 4,000 asylum seekers and refugees requiring support across the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. Representatives of the GTHA mayors and chairs met to address how to best support increased demand for settlement services despite various ongoing challenges and limitations. Well, they say the federal funding does not reflect the increased number of refugees arriving in the region. And for more on this, we are joined by Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie. Thank you so much for joining us, Mayor. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in your region and how Mississauga is supporting many of these asylum seekers and refugees.
Yes, well, thanks so much. And as you do know, the GTHA mayors, along with our CAOs, met yesterday to talk about the situation affecting us all, including Hamilton, I will say. And of course, Mississauga receives the overflow of the refugees that can't be accommodated in Toronto, find their way further west, starting in Mississauga. We do have a do not turn away policy, and we're very eager to hear how the 212 million will be distributed. As we know, Toronto will receive 97 million. And we're looking to see how that balance of 115 will be allocated. The situation is very dire, as you know. We have about 300 refugees, and that includes 126 families with children. There are about 50 singles and some young people, about 50 young people as well. So this is very dire. We have seen a surge in our shelters where we normally have about 500 beds, and that is to accommodate those most vulnerable, whether they're suffering, they're victims of violence, whether they're homeless. Those are the people who are in our shelters right now. But what we're seeing is a surge of refugees, whereas we normally only had about 5% refugees in our shelters. Now we have 35%. You can see that there aren't sufficient beds for those normally in need.
So what is your immediate, I guess, wish list? So what exactly do you need right now to support these refugees? And what's your response from the federal government? Are they doing enough?
Well, certainly all the municipalities in the GTHA and beyond need an allocation of funding. From what I understood, the money that flowed is a great start, but it's also the allocation for 2023. You know, we are putting people up in overflow accommodations, as is Toronto, and that, of course, is on our budgets, and our budgets are not designed to put up new refugees. So we're appealing to the federal government to please send our allocations for 2023 as well to the other municipalities, so we can welcome these people as well. I'm sure many of them come from desperate situations abroad, and we want to, we are a warm, welcoming, inclusive city in Mississauga, and we want to welcome these people as well. But it's very, very difficult financially to do so, and we're having to pay for overflow accommodations.
Are you surprised at all, given the fact that this situation has been playing out for weeks and it's just really started to gather widespread attention over the last week or so, but are you surprised at all that the resources and the accommodations weren't already in place for these asylum seekers and refugees so that they have a soft landing when they did get to Canada?
Right. So what we're seeing is a reaction from the Roxton Road closing, and of course, obviously, the tail end of the Ukrainian refugees as well. So the cities are being inundated, and I think the cities have been responsible for providing shelter for our homeless populations. And you have seen right across Ontario, municipalities are dealing with it differently. I know you've spoken to some of my councillors who are advocating for these small modular units. We've seen tiny homes in Kitchener, rather. So we are attempting to deal with it, but the refugee situation is not within our budgets, and it's a federal responsibility. And the federal government, thankfully, has now forwarded 212 million, of which Toronto, Ottawa, and I think Quebec have been the major beneficiaries. So we're looking to see the allocation to the other municipalities, including Mississauga, Peel region, Durham region, Hamilton, etc., that are all being impacted.
Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.